Disney World, and this is not how I want to end my trip.
Area DMG.
Anybody but Misaki have the traits to be a leader, but storytelling wise, you have to have a place to go. You have to see somebody journey and grow and change. And it's not interesting if it's like, yeah, guys, I got this. The end of the show. Okay. So, yes, Mandy.
I think they also talk about that like in our movie where they when Fiore blows all of them away. And then they're like making him not kill her. They're basically saying, none of us would be friends if it wasn't for her. We would have never talked to her. We would have never talked to any of each other. We would have killed each other flat if it wasn't for her.
So I don't think they would have had the glue.
No. Well, I think that's one of the interesting things about Sailor Moon too, is it's not Usagi's leadership style is not an aggressive pushing. It's more bringing everyone together and letting them move as a group.
Right. Yeah, because I don't see Rei and Ami necessarily being meeting and being hey, we really get along. But
It's so opposite.
Isn't there an episode in the original season? I want to say there's an episode where it's before they find Venus, but it's Mako-chan, Rei, and Ami, and Rei's just screw Usagi, we're gonna do something, and Ami and Mako-chan are just all right, we're done with you, we're leaving.
I think I remember that.
I
don't know which
Didn't
one
they have
it
to
was.
fight each other?
They what?
Didn't they have to pretend that they were against Usagi or something?
They do in one episode. I don't know if that's the one she was mentioning, but yeah, 'cause that was a ruse.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I've grown to appreciate Usagi more as I grew up and realized, oh, I'm her. I will sleep through, well, I don't sleep through my alarm because I'm a very light sleeper. In fact, I'm kind of a ninja. Because I'm so hyper aware that I sleep with an eye mask and blackout curtains. And I have 2 white noise machines at different frequencies so that they'll cancel out different white noise, different noises. And even then, and sometimes I'll use earplugs if I really am I can't. If we were ever in a zombie apocalypse and you needed somebody to keep watch, I'd probably be the person to do it.
Yeah.
Even if I fell asleep, I'd be what was that? So just so you know. But we can't all fit in the same zombie bunker, so just call straws or something. But it sounds like I would probably also eat all your food. So weigh those pros and cons. The what? That's such a, I love the teapot over the garden wall thing. Yes.
What do you think the biggest difference between you and Maeko is, and how do you think that's portrayed in the voice acting at all, or was that something that you had to overcome through the voice acting?
I think Maeko is probably more positive than I am. I'm inherently very jaded and cynical and sarcastic. And she, I think, has a little more of a sense, she's closer to Usagi in the sense that she kind of will be optimistic too. She's yeah, let's go after that guy. Let's do it. Whereas I'd be he's not gonna talk to me anyway, so I might as well just punch him and be you're stupid, I hate you. Yeah, so I'd say Jupiter, I think, is a little bit more yeah, we can totally do it. I believe in us, let's go. Whereas I'm I literally, one time, because I go on tangents, Cherami Lee, who voices Sailor Venus, we had to catch a flight to a con somewhere. I don't remember, or it might have been to San Francisco or something, but basically, she was texting me and she was late. And American Airlines is real strict about if you have to check a bag, you gotta be there 45 minutes before boarding. They won't let you on, there's all sorts of things. And she's texting me and I'm on the plane. We're sitting there they're gonna close the door in 10 minutes. And she's I'm almost through security. I'm and I was you're not gonna make it. I wasn't other people would be you can do it. And I was I literally was about to tell the flight attendant, if you need to, a standby person, you can take the seat. She's not gonna make it. And then eventually, somehow she made it, but I am not the person you need if you need somebody who's gonna cheer you on in an impossible situation. I'm odds are you're not going to survive this, so. Or at one time at Disney World, we were at a con, and it was me, Stephanie Shea, who voices Sailor Moon, and then Jeremy again, and we got stuck on the, was it tram, the monorail? Like the doors just didn't open for 20 minutes. They're like, sorry, we're working on it. And so we're like, we're gonna die here. We're gonna eat Jeremy. But then like, and there was only like, because the girls spent the whole day at Epcot. I'm like, because like they wanted to go shopping and buy cute little outfits, and I was like, I want to go on the rides. But they promised me like, we're gonna go to the Magic Kingdom. It'll be fine. And of course, there was like 15 minutes left in the day by the time we got there, and I was like, I really want to go on Haunted Mansion. And so they're like, we can do it. And I'm like, we can't. And so the three of us are running through the park trying to get to Haunted Mansion before it closes. And then like, I'm like, guys, I can't do it. I don't have my inhaler. I hate you so much. And Stephanie and Jeremy were like, believe in yourself. Like it was a very Sailor Moon moment. And then, and the reason the park was closing early was because there was like a black tie or like some sort of event that was like a private thing. So you couldn't go on anything if you didn't have like a special lanyard. So like, guys, there's no point. Just give up. Let's just go home. And then we finally got to the ride after Stephanie like took us the wrong way. Like she was so confident, like we're going the right way. We're not going the right way. We get to the ride, and there's like a couple people in line, but like they all have the lanyards, and I'm like, we don't have the lanyards. Let's just go. We're gonna get kicked out of Disney World, and this is not how I want to end my trip. Oh, Mickey Mouse to beat me up. Like I just want to go home. And Stephanie's like, hey. And which is a very Sailor Moon moment. She's like, have you ever seen the Olympics? Yeah. I guess. And she's like, in the Olympics, these people train forever for a chance that might never happen. And some of these people were underdogs, some of them were too short, some of them were too whatever for their sport, but they went and they trained for years, and you know what? They got the gold medal sometimes. So tonight, believe that you are going to get that gold medal, you are going to get on Haunted Mansion. And the thing is, we did. I guess whoever was checking the door gave no cares. Like, they were just like, I really just come out. Because we were like, okay, if you just like stand like this, it looks like you have the lanyard, but you're covering it up. And like, I'm sure the person was like, I get paid minimum wage, I don't really care. So anyway, we got on the ride, and it made the ride even more fun, because we like, we made it! Oh my god, I can't believe it! So I don't know, I was telling all these stories. But yeah, so they're like their characters as well. And Stephanie's also this big.
Yeah, I was like, Stephanie's probably yelling at you.
She's 4'9", and I'm 5'8", so she's basically a foot shorter than me. And she's just like, have you ever seen the Olympics? You believe in yourself. You stop talking like that.
That sounds almost like her.
Yeah, so I would say, so yes, to answer your question, I'm kind of sometimes more of a Ray, I guess. I think Ray's the one who's like more like, yeah, you're not gonna be able to do that. But when it comes to, but I have like I think a big sister quality that Maeko I think has, where she like really wants to take care of people. I can't cook as well. I can follow a recipe though, which I think is basically what you need to cook, but like she can like bake.
You have as many exes as her?
Yeah, like
Baking's hard.
Baking's real hard. It's like chemistry, and I was terrible at chemistry. So I could never do like a Breaking Bad thing, because I would just be like, I'd probably just end up making poison accidentally. My business would be very short-lived. So, yes, any other questions? Yes.
Well, firstly, as a former Disney employee, yes, that's true.
But you're like, I don't care, just get on the ride. Oh no, don't tell Mickey about what we did. Because we were definitely there past when we should have been.
We might have not kind of like left on bad terms.
Oh no, I'm sorry. You're like, I work for Universal now, or something.
Oh, that's totally true of Floridians. Like, they're like, I'm going over to Universal, they pay better.
So it's like the Jets versus Sharks kind of thing, like rival gangs. Like Goofy and Mickey have like a knife fight with like, I don't know what the mascots of the other parks are.
Harry Potter!
Harry Potter? Oh! But Harry would never use Avada Kedavra on Mickey.
Why is that Slytherin?
Harry Potter is at Disney World.
What? No, he's at Universal.
He's at Universal Studios in Orlando.
Actually, at the time, like, they didn't
Or
do
it's
Harry
like-
Potter yet, but it might be Hulk.
I mean,
Oh, okay. Hulk and Harry Potter versus Mickey and Goofy with knives? Yeah, alright.
Crossover.
That's a weird.
So the ride, even though Disney owns the rights to everything else, but they still own the rides.
Interesting. It's the weirdest thing, but yes, sorry.
Anyway, so my question was, you were saying they were going to start voice acting the rest of the series. Do you know if they're going to do that to be really hokey live action one that they were doing?
Oh, wait, you mean like, wait, you mean dub like Pretty Guardian, like the live action series?
Oh my gosh.
I don't think there's any plans to dub that, but like I wonder if they might release them on like DVD, like subtitled.
That would be great.
Because
I've seen them all on subtitle. It was just, I was like, are they going to dub this?
do you know something, Mandy?
I think the rights are actually different for that.
Like it's not like Toei or whatever.
I mean, I think they are, but I think it's a separate package, so I think Viz would have to bid for it, and as far as I've heard, they haven't. It's kind of like the video games too, like the video games are a whole different.
The video games would be
musicals,
awesome.
Like, yeah, and the musicals too, they're all like slightly separate rights than
Okay.
the other hard.
Right, because I know the music, like
sticky fingers.
what do they call it? Like the ones where like they're like the Sailor Guardians are singing and it's like on
Yeah,
a CD.
it's
Like,
like
space play.
but not a musical. Like there's like the CDs
Yeah,
where it's just like image songs. I think they're
Yeah,
called.
yeah.
I don't
soundtracks.
I think those are completely different, like different rights.
That'd be cool if they dubbed those.
Because we have something similar with Boruto, where like the video game is like Bandai Namco, and then the anime is Viz. So yeah, I think. So I don't think there's any plans yet. I don't know who has the rights to them. I also don't know if there's as much of a demand because a lot of people have already seen it subtitled. But yeah, I think it's best to just make everything legal. Like just to be like, here, if you want to enjoy it, here's a way to do it, so people don't have to like pirate everything. Because it's, for the longest time, you couldn't even see the episodes of Saturn. You couldn't see Stars without pirating it. Like, it's just, there was no way. So now I'm excited that people can actually, like, well, soon, I don't know when, but we're working on it. We will one day have, like, you can have a full box set of all 200 episodes. And everybody will be they'll be whatever gender they were in the original. And I'm excited to see what they do with the Starlights.
Yes.
I was hoping, are you gonna like open up to like trans actors or something? So I'm curious what they do. I think it'd be really cool. But I don't quote that like, oh, they're gonna do that. I think it'd be really cool. It's a chance to do something very different than, I don't know. Anyway, I'm rambling. So, is blue hair, yes.
Actually, with Stars, I watched them all in Spanish because I wrote them in Spanish.
Okay.
I read them too because they were in Spanish. So they did do something like that. They did like a girl voice when they did it, and like a girl character would talk when you transform into the girl form. And then
So it's a different
would
actor.
jump in. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Like,
Because in the Japanese, I think it's the same across, but they also have like the Takarazuka actresses who can kind of do like a.
Otokoyaku.
Are they actually I assumed they were Takarazuka
there's
actresses.
not actually the Starlights are not, but Haruka and Mamoru are both Takarazuka.
Wait,
alumni.
in the musical you're talking about?
Musical.
Okay, I meant like in the voice, like for the show.
No,
Are they?
no, the voice actors I don't think were ever.
Oh, interesting.
Takarazukians. But they were. Naoko said, or Takeuchi Sensei said they were inspired by
Nice.
that. That's why the musicals, if you've seen them. Do people know what Takarazuka is? Do you want to explain?
Yeah, so you can correct me, but Takarazuka is like a form of, it's Japanese musical, but it's all women, right? And so the women play. It's like a school. Like you have to. It's competitive. Like I've heard some people kill themselves if they don't get in. Like it's like that's too dark. Anyway, but it's really it's so competitive, and you get placed into like a different character type. So it's like some people, and it's actually. You want to be cast as the male roles, right? Because I guess they're
higher status.
They're higher status and probably better paid, I imagine. I don't know, but so like you when you go in, it's like, oh, you're gonna always be the female roles or whatever. What is it? 7 years? It's a lot of school.
It's basically their high school, so it's kind of like Juilliard High School, where you play the first. The first year is like you just do like ballet, tap, singing, acting, general classes, and then the second 2 years is you pick your gender, musumeyaku or tokoyaku, so the girl and guy. And then once you graduate, you move into their 5 troupes that just perform. And there's a theater in Tokyo, and then there's a theater in the city of Takarazuka. And it's just like year-round plays, just rolls over which troupe is doing which play at which time.
Interesting. So it's only 5. I didn't realize it was like such a small. But yeah, it's really an interesting art form. And apparently, the ones who play the dudes are supposed to be like the ones who like guys want to pursue as wives. And this is like probably I saw a play about Takarazuka, and they said like the women who play the male roles are supposed to make better wives because they understand what it's like to be a man or something like that. It's a whole interesting culture. I would totally I would watch that show. Like if they made like a Glee version that was like something that was like Takarazuka school, I would watch the crap out of that.
If you've seen Hora and Host Club,
Mhm.
the Zuka Club are Takarazuka fans.
Okay. But no, I want to see them like Takarazuka students. Like I want to see like it'd be like Fang. Yeah, Fang makes me Glee or something. Anyway, did I answer your question? Wait, you said you.
She was talking about the
Right, you're talking about the Spanish version. Yeah, it seems like a lot of other. I saw some of Stars when I lived in Germany as a kid. I saw some of it on like RTL 2 or whatever, but like, because other countries seem to be like, yeah, cool, we'll dub it, and like the North American countries were like, we don't know what to do with this. We're not there yet. Yeah, because it was like the mid-90s, so I think now's the time we could finally be like, yeah, people aren't gonna die if they see different gender representations or whatever, you know, or sexualities or so. Anyway, any other questions, or I can just tell random stories about stuff. Yes, Mandy.
Have you heard anything more about the movies? Because we did R.
Yes. We are doing all 3 of them.
Oh.
I don't know when they're coming out because Viz doesn't tell me, bupkis.
Oh, shocking.
Like, I usually don't find out until somebody tweets at me. They're like, oh, hey, cool, I'm excited to see this. I'm like, I guess this is coming out. So, yeah, I don't know what I can say.
Just yes is fine.
Yes.
I know how that game goes.
Just yes. Yeah. Or we can talk after. But yeah, yes.
So, most people know that voice acting, whether it's like for Western or Japanese stuff, like a lot of times it's over the phone or you may not be with any of the other actors. Do you ever get a chance to work with them like in the studio or even just do table reads together?
No.
No?
For anime, you are always by yourself.
Oh.
And so a lot of times you might never have met the people unless you do cons. Like sometimes, like the Anime Expo, the year that they announced us as the cast for Sailor Moon was the first time I had met most of them.
Oh.
And it was really nerve-wracking because I accidentally punched Stephanie Shea in the face. She's so little. She's right here. And so it was me and Mandy. Mandy.
Backstage right before we were going on the main event stage at Anime Expo.
It was-
we just punched her.
I was so nervous because like Stephanie was somebody who's been, she's a veteran, like she's been in this industry for a while. So I was like, oh gosh, I'm gonna show up with Stephanie. I gotta be cool. I want her to like me. And like she's very hard to read. She's got one of those faces where it's like, you basically with Stephanie, you assume she doesn't like you until she tells you she does. But so like, I was like, okay, cool. And then I started to relax and just have fun. And then me and Mandy were doing like some attack. We were like, Supreme Thunder! And I go, woo! And I felt my elbow. That was a half-assed version for me. I could do a better one for you later. But like, I elbowed and I felt something, and I looked down and Stephanie's just kind of like, look, how's my elbow? And I was like, and it was not like light. It was not like I bumped her. It was like a, and so and I'm like, I'm so sorry, Peggy. She's like, nope, don't touch me. It's fine. Seriously, it's fine. Leave me alone. So I was like, this is great. This is a real good way to start off a relationship with somebody. So yeah, it's like it was that was a very Usagi moment for me where I'm like, sorry. So yeah, so we don't really get to record because dubbing for anime is so technical because you're having to match a pre-existing picture. So it comes over from Japan, it's already animated to that performance, and the mouth flaps like kind of restrict you. You have to do whatever they've already done. You can't do your own thing. So if we were to all be in a room together trying to match, because you mess up, you're gonna mess up. It's like a rhythm thing, it's kind of a timing thing, and then even if you get the rhythm right, they're like, okay, but can you be louder, or can you be more urgent because this is happening? So it would take a couple tries, and it would just take forever if everybody had to do that. So yeah, you kind of just do your lines and do them. You don't always have context. You just kind of jump and it's like, okay, so you have line 107. Okay, now we're gonna jump to line 323 because that's your next line. So it's like the other lines are like Usagi lines or whatever. Like it's just, you don't always know what's happening because you're just seeing your chunks. So yeah, you don't really do table reads. You don't even know what the script is before you come in the room. Like the director's job to tell you as you go what's happening. I've seen most of the show before, so I haven't. I kind of have a general idea, but for other people, like Kate, who's Sailor Mercury, is like, I don't know what this is. Even like season 4, I think she's still like, what is this? It's just really funny. But yes.
What's your personal favorite Sailor Moon arc, either from Classic or Crystal?
I would definitely, I think S, like the Messiah, and like it's just so dark, and I love dark stuff, and Saturn's cool, and like the moral and ethical like grappling of like, oh, do we kill this girl? Because if we don't kill her, the world might be destroyed, but we're definitely killing a human being who hasn't done anything yet, but she might, versus like, no, don't kill anybody, but then everybody might die. Like, it was just a really interesting thing for like a kid to grapple with. Like, I don't know what to do. Because Uranus and Neptune are kind of posed as being like the bad guys for being like, we have to kill this girl. I don't know if you guys know, but like Sailor Saturn, basically like, she hasn't awoken yet, but Uranus and Neptune's job in the 3rd season of the show is to be like, we have to find her and kill her, I guess, before she becomes Sailor Saturn, because Sailor Saturn is the destroyer of worlds. But they're like, right now, she's just a kid. You can't kill somebody who hasn't done anything yet. So that's like the whole moral dilemma. But I see Uranus and Neptune's side, and like I'm sure as you get older, what is that thing like on Tumblr? They're like you're old when you start relating to the Disney parents or like the parents of cartoons more than the kid. It's like one of my favorites. It's like
the villains.
You're like they had a point. That was like
I get it.
I get it. Or like in Beauty and the Beast when Belle's just singing through this town like I'm so much better than you all. It's like no wonder nobody likes you. Like I'm so smart and you're all so boring and pedestrian. It's like okay, calm down. All right, read your book and go home. You don't need to be.
Ariel, listen to your dad.
Right? It's like yeah, you're 16. He's a guy from land. Don't give up your tail. She gave him her tail. Okay. She'll have to learn her own.
Is that a metaphor?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Sorry, I have like a goldfish attention span. I don't remember what the. I'm just like thinking about mermaid, about like just like a passive aggressive, like if Ariel's mom had lived. Right? She's just like, you know what, let her do it. Let her do it. No, Triton, calm down. And put a shirt on.
Were really so bad for turning them into little,
Little
merchants,
sea
like,
kelp
yeah,
things.
Yeah, like, is she really that wrong?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, Ursula could have
Some
been
days
nobody
it's
given her legs.
That's true. Oh, Ursula can be like, yeah, you can be human, but there's humans with who are born with no legs, so have fun wheeling yourself around.
She could have given her 8 legs.
A weird spider creature. Oh god, that's terrifying. It's just like this weird mutated creature.
Make that to a fanfic.
Sorry. I want to be where the people are. Oh my god, like that line with like the feet. Like what do you call them? Oh, feet. Anyway. Yeah. Oh, did you know that the third Little Mermaid movie? They actually did show Ariel's mother, and they showed what happened to her. She got crushed by a pirate ship.
What?
Like they're like singing. It's basically Footloose but underwater. Because like basically tragedy happens, and then somebody's like, no, so like basically they love to sing and they love music. And King tried to give his wife a music box, and she loved listening to it. They were sitting on the rocks, bathing or like in the sun, and laughing and singing and having a good musical time. And then suddenly a pirate ship came, and they're like, oh, everybody aboard, get in the water. And so they all went back down. But then the dumb mom was like, oh no, I forgot my music box. And King tried to like, girl, I can get you another one. Like, and so she goes back up to get her music box, and then she's like, ah, and then the pirate ship is like, and then you just see it crashing, but basically she got crushed by a pirate ship. So the rest of the movie, because the movie's a prequel to the first one, so basically King Triton's like, he basically bans music and singing from the land, which is kind of a jerk. From the sea. From the sea. He has no jurisdiction on land. But basically it's like, everybody's like, okay, look, I get that your wife died, but...
Well, talk about taking responsibility.
Yeah, I know.
He owned the music box, he influenced music, and not all music.
Right, and now he's like, oh, it's my fault. Well, yeah, no, he needed a lot of therapy. But anyway, so the third movie, you don't need to see it, but because I just told you what it is. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Like the underground music club.
Oh yeah, yes, exactly. That's why it's like Footloose. So they found like an underground music club where like people are secretly like it's like a speakeasy, except they're not drinking or doing like anything illegal, except that they're just like we're playing music. So and then Ariel has a cool song that I like. I remember, but other than that, it's just anyway. I watch way too many movies. Next question. Yes.
Who's your favorite scout besides Jupiter?
This fluctuates for me, because sometimes I'll be like, oh, Pluto's real cool, or Uranus is real, like, the Outer Guardians I think I'm like kind of really fascinated with, because they also don't get as much screen time, so they're more mysterious. But I would actually kind of say Saturn. I think because she can probably get the least screen time, so she's more just like, she's a freaking destroyer of worlds, and she's got this like silence glaive or whatever, and like she's just cool. And I think at least that would be the power I want. Because I feel like I would carry myself very differently if I knew I could destroy worlds if you made me upset.
No, I think it's cooler.
Yeah, it's true. Although I think in general, though, like just personality-wise, I really like Uranus for a lot of similar reasons that I like Jupiter. Like Uranus is like a more evolved, it's like a Pokemon, like evolution. Because she's more mature and she's just more settled into it. And she's like, so in like Crystal, she's like, yeah, I'm flying a helicopter and I'm dressing like a dude. And then the next day I'm wearing a leather miniskirt and I rock it all.
And I got a sword.
Yeah, I got a sword, and my power is kind of wind, but not really because it's earth shaking. There's a lot of questions about. Or like, do you guys know it's the Stars season? The gentle uterus attack.
Yes.
It doesn't look like it's just I think they just picked English words because they thought it sounded cool in Japanese, but because we're sticking with the Japanese, they're like, no, you're gonna. Whoever's casted that character will be like having to yell gentle uterus and really mean it. Like, they're just like really like, because like I got to say like Jupiter coconut cyclone in Crystal, but like the attack looks cool, but just saying like Jupiter coconut cyclone was like really. It was just every time I'm like that sounds like a drink. You got like a drink order, yeah. You're like, hi, I'd like a Jupiter coconut cyclone on the rocks.
Clearly we're not
Oh my
doing
god,
it.
Sailor Moon Cafe.
We're not drinking this next stage.
Right, no.
We need one in America.
We need more.
Let me know if I'm going over my time. I have no idea what time it is.
Oh,
No, keep going.
I got you.
You got me.
That's
This feels really weird. I feel like a stand-up comedian where I'm like, yeah, so, Queen Beryl, what's up with that? That wasn't even a joke. I do
energy again.
Like the first few episodes, she's just like moving her hands around a crystal ball, and that's all she does.
It's the same recycled footage. I have like a whole like shtick about Queen Beryl where I like to imagine that she's like, if I just keep doing this and look really intent about it, nobody will know that I don't know what I'm doing. And that this ball is not, I don't have the internet connected, it's not going anywhere. I just
That's why she sends people.
Yeah. Well, also, the other thing that makes me laugh is like how all the villains not all of them, but a lot of them say their own name, like Pokemon. And I like to imagine that it's because like Queen Beryl doesn't remember names. So like, because every time they come forward, they're like Doki Doki or whatever their name is, and I imagine that they're like, look, Queen Beryl doesn't remember anybody's name. When you go out there, you have to introduce yourself, or she will kill you. They all are just like, this is my name, and they keep repeating it throughout the thing, and so, I don't know. Also, the last thing I'll say about Queen Beryl is that she's so hot. She's so hot, she does not need to be kidnapping boyfriends. Yeah. She's like, here, yoink, tuxedo mask. It's like, do you see yourself? Like, let's sit down and have a powwow, because you are a solid at least 9.
Like a 5.
Right, it's like there's so many other hot guys.
him forever, you're fine.
Right, you've been hanging on to him since like his past life. It's time to let it go.
Listen up,
Yo,
nine
the
to 10
sisters, they're fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there could be like a spin-off series where like Queen Beryl tries online dating. Like she like realizes like, oh, I don't need to be so angry all the time. Like, you know, like and she like lets her minions have days off and they're like, she's in a good mood. She's like,
We should make that a thing.
she's like, oh, I'm meeting some guy named Dan. He's an accountant. Anyway, does anybody have any other questions? And so I'm not just doing weird Sailor Moon stand-up. Yes.
Who's your favorite villain?
Oh.
Because there have been a lot of good ones.
Oh, there's some weird ones.
Like the professor dude who got the seeds or whatever.
Well, see, like those are like the bigger ones, but I'm thinking of like also the monsters of the week. And there's like, there's so many ridiculous.
Like the one that was like glass.
Yeah, there's one that was like a tennis shoe monster.
Oh yeah.
I'm literally like.
There was a haircut one.
Oh, Katy Perry monster. So I think it was an R. There's a monster that has like, she's like made of sugar or whatever, and she looks like Katy Perry in, was it Candyland, or the California Girls. She looks like some like Candyland creature, so me and the director of the show call her Katy Perry monster. Because she basically like shoots like frosting, evil frosting out of her hands.
Oh yeah.
And she like can make you into a donut. And so you're like, oh no, I'm trapped. But then it's like scary though. It's what?
She's a machine.
Yeah, it's like, what happens? Like, when the thing disintegrates, though, it doesn't kill you. Like, it's something where it's like, haha, it's a donut. But then it's like, no, it's a donut. Like,
It's brown.
yeah, it like, or no, I think
Donut is really bad for you.
you're like, it'll clog your arteries. And in like 40 years, you will die. It's just the long con. But I think maybe the things that they trap you in, like one of them gets trapped in a cake, the other one gets trapped in a donut, and like they get bigger and bigger. Or like, I think it maybe just crushes you to death. Something, it was something that where it's like, ha ha ha, it's just not. But,
There's also the monster that look like a vacuum.
Oh
my God,
yeah.
there's so many.
Race car when the room the whole time.
She said, "Oh, I'm gonna room."
There's some really great. Does anybody have any monsters that like, you remember that were like,
Oh. Ooh.
which was that in the movie or was that in? I don't know if I haven't seen all the episodes yet. I've seen the first 3 seasons. But yeah, there's like basically like I feel like the writers were like, I don't know, projector monster. They project death. Like they just picked.
They had that one. It
There
was
was a
camera.
camera that like
What?
stole your soul.
A camera that stole your soul.
Yes. But the weirdest
Well,
one.
that's not different from normal cameras, right? Don't all cameras steal your soul?
I have to say, the most memorable, weirdest monster was that clam one that like froze you with like the clams.
What?
Juice.
There's a clam juice monster?
Like it froze you.
In clam juice?
Yeah, it was when Misaki and
Wait,
them.
oh yeah,
No,
okay,
it's
the
like
princess one. The princess one.
Her
Okay.
face is like a clown.
That one is the weirdest.
Yes. And that one's a weird one too because she's like a reform school teacher or something, or she's very like, she's all about manners and then she also just happens to be
She's
a
apparently the princess, so she has to pretend to be a normal person.
Right. I remember that one now. Yes, Mandy.
Stars, you're gonna chirp for stars because anytime they take out a human, they turn him into a sailor guardian.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like
Oh, yeah.
sailor, what is it? It's like sailor guts, and it's like a sports person. And he throws like balls of sweat at you.
What?
That's great.
Interesting.
Like they just stop giving a shit enough.
And they're just like, I don't know, we've already tried everything. We've done a sneaker monster, guys.
There was this tennis monster.
Oh yeah.
That hit you with a tennis ball, and then you did get
And
crushed.
you became like I remember like Usagi was like all trapped in the tennis ball. I'm excited to see Stars. I've only seen like a couple of the episodes, and I've seen like, this is my nerd coming out, but I've seen the arc of Stars because I've seen enough AMVs, music videos. I discover a lot of music from anime music videos. I'm like, this music, the video itself is fine, but where is the song from?
I feel like that's how half of nerds found Evanescence.
Or what is it, Nightwish?
Yes. Chair.
Yeah. Oh, Innominate, do you know that one?
Yes.
Like Mitternacht. I saw like a Hellsing video and I was like, this is the coolest.
You guys talked about Creed at the.
Me and Erica Lindbeck were talking about ridiculous stuff, and then everything. I don't know why she started saying it, but she started singing. She's like, with the arms wide open. And so like anytime there was like a pause in the conversation, or she would just try to work it in. Yes.
I have a question. So I know like AX, we kind of need shield with guys, but what's your weirdest fan interaction?
It wasn't at AX, it was at some other con, and I hope she's not here. If she is, maybe don't tell people about your lady times.
Oh,
But she came up to me and she was like really weird. No, she was being weird. She was probably fine, but she was just very like, I was like talking to her, she's like, I just like wasn't sure how to like respond. She wasn't giving me like the normal human responses, and then she's like, I can't remember exactly how it went, but she basically was like, yeah, the lunar flow is strong with me. Something really like sounding like she was a wizard casting stuff. And then I was like, oh, that's cool. She's like, yeah, the Crimson Tide. and she left. But I remember that look in my eyes, like, as if it was like a Lord of the Rings, like,
Just like Galadriel.
It's like, yeah, people, yeah, half the population has it. It's not like something to be embarrassed about, but maybe don't be like all proto about it. No, it's more Gandalf, I guess.
That sounds like straight up Gollum.
That's Gollum. Yeah, so that was probably, I mean, I've had weird ones. Then there's some that are just awkward, like when you just don't know what to say. Like somebody's like, hey, so you do Boruto, right? And they're like, and I'm like, yeah, they're like, I've never heard any of your work, I just got in line. Like, so I'm like, cool, like, you know, like, or it's like, oh, you do this voice. Yeah, my friend really doesn't like your voice. And I'm like, either you are your friend and you're just like trying to pass it off. Or, it's just weird to me, it's like, what do you want me to say? I'd be like, oh no!
Right, like, oh my God, Saturn, please move on.
Yes. I'm like, I figure there are people out there, like, there's different strokes for different folks. I'm like, I don't need to be like, come up to me and be like, my friend doesn't like your voice. I was like, do you want me to fight your friend? I don't know. What was the objective?
Don't tell Char about that. After getting talking, they don't need it anymore.
Always with your
What
coconut
happened?
tornado.
Wait, what?
You gotta fight them with your coconut tornado.
Yeah. She put a coconut sack on and I throw a drink in their face. Oh no, it wasn't me, it was my friend.
That's pretty much exactly why they have cosplayers at Anime Expo, because we're like, oh, that's nice, keep going, get away.
I love it. Anime Expo is so nice. I feel like such a celebrity because like they get to be the bad guys, and also it's just cool to be escorted around by an actual Sailor Guardian who will be a meat shield. Because we had at one convention, somebody came up next to Jeremy, and they literally followed her the entire time, and they just walked next to her, and her handler was trying to get in between her, and then this person would just be like, and be like, so anyway, and like Jeremy's too nice. But I was getting ready to like tackle her because I was sure like, what's she doing? Is she gonna stab her? Like, what's happening? So, just like, you know, have like boundaries and, you know, respect people's space. And maybe if they walk away and their handler is literally squeezing herself in between you and her, maybe be like, okay, this interaction is over. She has to go to another panel. And then at the end, she was like, we'll talk later, after they're, you know, when they're not around to try and separate us. But luckily people don't do that as much with me. I think maybe because I'm like a foot taller than Jeremy, but also I feel like they're like, she probably looks like she can deadlift a couple hundred pounds, which I can. So if I can deadlift a couple hundred pounds, I feel like I can deadlift most people maybe. I don't know, the weight thing might be weird. Also, I'd have to be like, hey, can you get like here? That's a squat, I don't know what I'm doing. No, okay, that's easier to deadlift somebody from the floor, because then I can just be like, yeah, and then they're on the ground, and then I can, there you go. I sorted out my own problem, don't worry. I know you're concerned. Are you stretching, or is that you're not allowed to stretch in here, I'm sorry.
Well,
Yes.
Have you met the original dub version of Shell Jupiter?
I have. I met the original cast at SAC Anime a couple years ago, and they were so sweet, and we still keep like, we're like friends on Facebook and everything, and like when we go to cons, it's awesome because they're like, hey, come back to our room, and so we'll like be drinking wine and like laughing and talking about men and whatever. It's just really surreal and very funny. So they're super sweet because they're Canadian. I feel like you have to. Like if you're a bad Canadian, they send you to America.
Did you get to meet them at first AX? Because they were there.
Oh, well, okay.
Don't you remember that?
They were there, but it was very awkward.
Oh, we should talk sometime.
Yeah, yeah. The first AX, they had the original cast there and us, but apparently the original cast didn't know that they were getting replaced. So yeah, it was an interesting experience. So they were there, but they left, and I didn't really get a chance to interact with them. So I finally got a chance to talk with them at SAC Anime. I don't have my glasses on, so I don't actually know what that says. Thank you. I can see people close, but I can't see far. I call it like my Chipotle vision, where I'm like, I can see like the burrito in front of me, but I can't necessarily see what's on the menu to order it, but then I don't need to see the menu because I know what I'm getting.
That's it.
So, anyway, but yes, I've met them. They're all fantastic. If you ever go to a con where like Linda or Toby or Susan, like, they will just dote on you with love and their beautiful Canadian hearts. So, I feel like that's probably mean of me to say that you sent bad Canadians to America. Like, we're the jerkier older brother. Actually, was Canada, oh my gosh. Was Canada around first? I I know there's Acadia first, but whatever. History, it's weird. That's actually where the word Cajun comes from. Because in Canada, the French settlers were, it was Acadia, and they were Acadians, and I guess at some point maybe they were like chased out or something. So they went all the way down to what is now Louisiana, and so that's
Which was owned by France.
Yeah, which was owned by France, so it's like, it was basically like the country, like you were on French soil up there, and then I guess maybe something with the British happened or something, but they went to Louisiana, and so Acadian became Cajun, and so now when you meet Cajun people, that is where that's from. I don't know why I'm like teaching people about French stuff today. Coup de grace, Cajun, history. Because you can't know where you're going if you don't know where you're from. It's probably not true, because that would be anybody with amnesia who would have no future. Anastasia. That's not real. She died. Let's not delude ourselves. There was no like she escaped.
She was gunned down.
She was gunned down. Sorry, that's really morbid, but history. Anyway, yeah, you and then you.
So, are there any, like, voice actors or whatever from the previous show that you think, like, obviously not you, but like, no, seriously, absolutely not you, but like, but are there any other voice actors that you think kind of did it better than the newer voice actors?
Some might put me in a weird position. They're all my friends. I think it's different because there are definitely things I liked about the original dub. Like, I loved the music in the original dub.
Yeah.
Performance-wise, I don't know if I had any like that were like, oh, this should have been here. But for me, it was more the music. Because then, I'm sorry, maybe I'm not supposed to say this as like the Viz dub person, but the Deep dub music was baller. I have my soundtracks, my Luna Rock CD and everything. It's like, oh, God, it was so good because it was like, electric guitar, and it was very like kind of more Power Rangers-y, where you know,
Like 80s power.
yeah, when you power like give me the strength to carry on, carry on. So anyway,
The opening was great.
but yeah, so I guess that's as much as I can say about that, because that would be because I'm besties with all the casts. And people film stuff and put things on the internet. And I ain't no sucker. You can't trick me to help you get more views. Yes.
I have two questions, but they're fairly small. One is, how can I potentially one day become your next Mandy so that I can also walk around a Sailor Jupiter /
Oh,
bodyguard?
that might be a Mandy question. Are you a cosplayer?
I'm getting there. I have some cosplays, but I'm on a weight loss goal, and when I hit my goal, I'm going to be like Eternal Sailor Jupiter, and then I would like to just parade it everywhere and show it up. And then my second question is have you ever seen the Sailor Moon Abridged series, and have you like heard the Jupiter's voice?
Is Jupiter the one who's voiced by a man?
Yeah.
I saw that because I think at one point I had watched Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged and Dragon Ball Z Abridged.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I could do this, and then I realized there was already a Sailor Moon Abridged.
Yeah.
So I think I saw a couple episodes. The first question I'm not 100% sure, so that's definitely a Mandy thing. But I know Shar, who is the marketing person for Viz, is also a cosplayer. And so it's kind of, I think, just getting into that
circle.
Into that circle, and people are friends, and if you're good and you're not a jerk, I feel like eventually, like, you know, and you I think it might help to have social media. I don't know, like if you have an Instagram or something that people can kind of see your, it's like a portfolio for you, kind of.
So like network, be friendly, and don't be a creeper.
I'll talk to you if that's not right.
Yeah, that's not right at all. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, we'll get there.
There you go. So talk to Mandy with the hat.
I don't want to take up her panel time, but yeah.
Yeah. Don't kill Mandy
No.
to take her place, because this is Game of Thrones.
You can stop.
Yeah, Mandy will take you out.
I'm pretty much literally the pit bull of that entire conflict.
Yes, Mandy has survived literally, like she's looked in the face of death and survived. So you cannot take her down. No offense.
No, it's totally okay. 'Cause my favorite idea or concept in Sailor Moon is near the end when you realize there's a guardian for every star and every planet.
Mhm.
And so like, I like the idea of I could just be Sailor Jupiter for funsies and then make my own Sailor Scout for funsies and not have to punch Mandy out.
I think Mandy and I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, I will meat shield if I have to.
right. When you say meat shield, it makes me think that you're like transforming into like this weird like, barrier of meat, like a meatball thing. Like,
It's the newest.
yeah, can you say this? It's like, meat, hesitation.
I don't know if you've seen, but there have been times where they're like, there's a fan, and as you guys leave, we literally form a wall so that you guys can leave and no one can come close. And that's like,
They're like
it's trying
trained ninjas. And they do it with a smile and wearing heels. So they're just like, whoop. So, anybody have any other questions? Is it 5 minutes? 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Or I can just ramble at you.
Or you can sing the
Those are
theme
your
song.
favorite stuff.
Oh gosh. Yes, here you go.
This isn't really a question so much as you mentioned tea earlier.
Yes.
And there's a chart out there of why there's only 2 words for tea. And it's because the word tia comes from the old Cantonese region pre-Chinese, meaning leaf. And it entirely depends on whether it went by land or by sea as to whether it is chai or tea. And that's why it is tea or jiu or suji or jia or chai or chili or chayo or ocha.
Interesting. And in French, they don't even qualify tea. Like, so there's like tea that is made from the tea leaf. Like, so there's like black tea, green tea, white tea, which are all the same leaf. It's just the tea comes out differently because I guess how long you've let it ferment, or not ferment, how long you let it grow before you picked it?
Steep.
Yes. Well, I think it has to do with like before they pick it. I think there's like a maturation or something.
There's different like levels of the tea trees.
Right.
And it's like the tops are different types of tea.
They have like different levels of caffeine.
How old it is.
Book is is usually just oxidized versus fermented, but it can be
Well,
fermented.
there you go. So now you all know that. Like the tea. Well, because like I didn't know until I like herbal teas a lot because I can't always have caffeine. But in French, if you say je veux un thé, I'd like some tea, they'd be like they would give you black tea. Probably not green tea because they're like this tastes like grass. I don't like it. But if you were to say can I have a mint tea or can I have chamomile tea, they'd be like, what is this? Like because it's called a tisane. So it's not, they don't consider it tea. It's not actually the tea leaf. So
Technically not.
I'm basically just helping you go to France. So like if America gets blown up for whatever reason and you survive and we have our little zombie bomb shelter where I'm keeping watch and I eat all your food, and then you have to leave the shelter because I ate all your food, you can go to France and you can at least order a tea. And not say,
Gracefully, without.
yes, you can weather the apocalypse with tea and be a classy person. Also, Switzerland, you want to go there because the borders of Switzerland are set to self-destruct if anything happens. You don't know, there's like underground tunnels. Switzerland doesn't play around. They like this whole time they're like we're neutral, but they've been like building stuff. They are set. Look it up on the internet. It's not even a conspiracy theory. They're literally.
They will kick your ass if you try to invade.
Right, and that's because my grandfather was Swiss, and so like he was a kid during World War II, and so his father was in the Swiss Army. I'm like, what were they doing? Like he was over the border training, and they're like, look, they're neutral, but if you come to me, that's self-defense. So they were getting ready to kick Hitler's butt if he tried to invade Switzerland. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, Switzerland, zombie apocalypse. Get in before they blow up the borders, because otherwise, you don't be on the bridge when they blow
Sounds
up.
like a good movie.
It would be Switzerland exile or something like that. Do we have any more time, or are we pretty much?
Not really.
No, okay.
Like maybe one last question.
One
or
last
something.
question. I feel like I've gotten a lot from you, so I'll ask.
Oh, okay. Have you dealt with like any like criticisms of the show or
Oh, yeah.
stuff like that? Like,
I mean, not as much of the show, mainly just of like me and my personality and my very soul. No. But yeah, I mean, people, it's the internet. Everybody has an opinion, and you know, sometimes people feel the need to let you know theirs. So that definitely, like in the beginning, I would like look at comments because I really wanted to know if I was doing a good job. I was like, Taylor Jupiter's my favorite character. I hope I don't mess her up. I hope people like her. So when the first clip came out, I was like looking at like YouTube comments and like looking at other stuff to try and see like, do they like it? And that's a bad idea because usually the people who comment on those things are the ones who are like, hey, that, you know, and like they just want to be, you know, they just want to stand out and have an opinion and whatever. On Tumblr, it would get like 1,000 likes, but then like one person would be like, oh, this is even worse than the 90s, or something like just mean or whatever, and I was just like, okay, I'm not gonna seek it out anymore. So then I just did my own thing, and it ended up working better, because now I don't care what people think. But same with Boruto, but it happens, that's life. If you live to please everybody, you will end up pleasing nobody. So, thank you. And you can find me, well, I would say all my social medias, but they're all different things. So just go to amandacmiller.com and it has all my Instagram and all that if you want to find me.